Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. If you have a married couple, one that only worked as a government employee and the other that worked in the private sector and put money into Social Security, if the person that puts money into Social Security passes away, is it right for the survivor spouse to get none of that money? Or what about this? What about if you work half your career as a government employee and the other half in the private sector and you put money into Social Security? Is it right by the time you go to claim your benefits, you get none of your Social Security? Well, that's exactly what is happening. And right now, currently, they're trying to prevent this. There's millions and millions of people right now that are struggling with those provisions. And right now, they're trying to pass an act that's called the Social Security Fairness Act. A lot of people out there right now do not agree with it. Government employees think they're getting treated unfairly and they are entitled to some of that Social Security. But some people who are not government employees, they feel like if you never put money into the system, you should not get a dime out of it. So in this video, I want to discuss the pros and the cons of passing the Social Security Fairness Act and why the government employees could reap the benefit of something they've been forbidden. So first of all, we need to discuss there's two current provisions that are in place that right now is hurting government employees. One is a GPO. That stands for Government Provision Offset. The other is WEP, and that stands for Windfall Elimination Provision. These two right here are the ones that's giving the most harm to government employees. Let me explain to you what GPO is because that's the one that affects so many people. So the government pension offset is a Social Security rule that affects spousal or survivor benefits for individuals who receive a pension from non-Social Security covered government employment. Now, this provision right here is the one that shocks so many government employees because they're not aware of this. They get to an age where they're depending on the spouse's income as well for survival. And once they pass away, they get a very small amount, extremely small amount. Let me explain to you exactly how small of an amount it is. So say, for example, the surviving spouse works as a government employee and he makes $1,500. All right, that's how much money he gets from his pension. Now, this provision, it caps how much money you could get from the actual spouse when it comes to Social Security. The way it works is it takes 2/3 of your government pension amount. In this example, if it makes $1,500, they'll take the $1,000. Now, say your spouse that passed away makes $1,200 in the Social Security. They take that $1,000 and they subtract it from the $1,200, leaving you with only $200. That's how much money the survivor spouse gets. To a lot of people, it seems extremely unfair, right? Your spouse is putting so much money into Social Security. They feel like the surviving spouse, should be entitled to it. But unfortunately, that's not the case with this provision. The reason why they have this provision is they're trying to prevent double dipping. A lot of people could just get so much money on Social Security and a pension, and we all know the government is not trying to spend all this money. Now, let me explain to you the other provision. The windfall elimination provision is a Social Security rule that reduces the benefits for individuals who earned a pension from a non-Social Security covered employment, but also worked in jobs where they're paid into Social Security. So basically all this provision is saying is this: if you work half your career in the government sector and the other half in the private, and you put money into Social Security and you put money into a pension, you cannot have both. It has a cap. A lot of people feel like this is unfair. You put money into the system, you should get something back in return. But this provision has a cap, and the cap is you can get no more than $547 from your Social Security. So as you see, there's millions of Americans right now that are suffering from that. But the Security Fairness Act is trying to change all that. And of course, when it comes to acts like this, there's a pro and there's a con. Let's start with the pros. So the pro obviously is to get full access now to Social Security. So if you're someone out there right now that's currently struggling because of the death of your spouse, you're not getting any of the Social Security benefits, now they're going to restore it. So you will be able to get the full benefits and you will not hopefully have to struggle anymore. Now the next pro is this. Now you have a lot of people right now that are government employees that will not be afraid to leave and work in the private sector. You see, a lot of times people remain as a government employee because they're afraid to lose their pension. So now you have a whole lot more people who would not be afraid to leave a government job to work in the private sector. So you have more options. Another pro is it promotes fairness. You know, if you put money into Social Security, you should get a certain amount back. If you're married to someone and your spouse and you're relying on Social Security, you should get some of that as well. A lot of people do not agree with this. They feel like, hey, if you put no money in, you don't deserve anything at all. If the spouse that passed away was the only one that put it in, well, guess what? When they pass away, all the money goes along with them. That's how people feel. You let me know how you think. And another pro is this. It addresses spousal inequities. Now, we all know, and it's really unfortunate, but a lot of times what happens is the man makes more than the woman. So if the man passes away, the woman will expect to get the money from the man in order for it to survive. That seems to not be the case. So as you can see, a woman can struggle a whole lot more for when their spouse passes away and they're not able to get the Social Securities. So as you see, if this passes, this will get rid of the inequities of the women that are struggling right now due to the fact that they relied on their husband for their income. Now they can get some of that income. Now, of course, there's going to be cons, and this is the biggest cons that a lot of people discuss. We already know Social Security right now, everyone's saying how much is going to run out in the future and it's not going to be around in the future. But now if they pass this, guess what's going to happen? It's going to have a huge impact on the Social Security system. Now, unfortunately, people in the future, it seems like you will not be able to get Social Security if this is the case. But one may argue, it has to be fair. This is a system. If you put money in, then hey, you should be able to get money out. But the truth of the matter is this, the system right now is very weak and we're not certain if it could sustain the actual changes that are about to pass. And the next con is this, it's going to be extremely difficult for government to pass this along. They are not going to be able to understand the complexity of how this is going to work because you're not supposed to essentially double dip. You could get overly compensated and you could get surprised later in the future with the bill because you receive more than what you're supposed to. Government is not that good at their job. So if you think they're going to give you the right amount and later on not do an audit and recognize they gave you too much, that's a risk that a lot of people are not willing to take. So there you have it, guys. That's a Social Security Fairness Act that's about to pass that's going to change millions of government employees and might make their lives better. But unfortunately, there's a lot of other people who are thinking now Social Security for them when they get older is not going to be an option. What do you guys think? Thanks for watching this video, guys. Please hit the like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Catch you guys on my next one. Peace.